All right, let's open the case file on a mystery that's really as much about manipulating the media as it is about murder. We're going to dig into the Zodiac Killer, but not just as a criminal. We need to analyze him as a master of creating a public persona. You'll see this is a case where the killer's legend became way more infamous than his actual crimes.
Welcome to the briefing. Today, we're dissecting case file 71-4355, better known as Zodiac. This isn't just another cold case. It's one of the most notorious unsolved cases in American history. Our objective here is pretty simple. Break down the hard facts, get a handle on the killer's methods, and really pinpoint why, after all this time, this file is still open.
And this is our first real glimpse into the mind we're dealing with. Just let that sink in for a second. I like killing people because it is so much fun. See, this isn't a confession he was forced to give. It's a proud declaration. He's telling the world, I'm not just a murderer. I enjoy this, and I want you to know it.
Okay, so in any investigation, you have to start with what you can actually prove. We have to separate what we know from what the killer claimed. So let's establish our baseline. These are the undisputed, confirmed events that kicked off one of the biggest manhunts in California's history.
The terror kicks off in December '68. 2 teenagers on a date, shot and killed. No robbery, no clear motive, no leads. Just nothing. Then, 7 months later, another couple is attacked at a park. But this time is different. One of them survives. And then the very next day, the killer does something incredibly brazen. He calls the police himself and takes credit. Right then, he's telling us he's not just a killer, he's a performer. And this is just his opening act.
And believe me, that phone call was just the warm-up. This is the exact moment the Zodiac case transforms from a local homicide investigation into a full-blown media crisis. He's about to hijack the entire narrative, and in doing so, he's going to change how this whole thing plays out. August 1st, 1969. Bam! The entire game changes. Letters land on the desks of 3 big newspapers, and they're filled with details that only the killer could know, so they're legit. But he doesn't just confess, he makes a demand. Publish my letter on your front page, or I'll kill again. It's crystal clear what he's after. He wants an audience, and he gives himself a stage name, Zodiac.
And with the name came the logo. Think about that, a killer with a brand. This simple crosshair symbol will become his mark of terror, and it was designed to be instantly recognizable. From this point on, every letter, every threat, it's going to have this signature. He wasn't some unknown attacker anymore, he was a public boogeyman. But he wasn't just sending letters. No, he was sending puzzles. This 408-symbol cipher was a direct challenge, a taunt aimed right at the police and the public. And when a local school teacher and his wife actually cracked it, what did they find? A name? A clue to his identity? Nope, just that chilling, taunting message we saw earlier. For him, this wasn't just about murder, it was a game he was forcing everyone to play.
So as his name gets bigger, so does his ego. The Zodiac was about to stage his most audacious and, frankly, terrifying crime yet. The attack at Lake Berryessa wasn't just another murder. It was a carefully crafted piece of theater, designed for one purpose: to cement his terrifying persona in the public's mind.
This chart really shows you how his thinking was evolving. Look at the changes. He switches from a firearm to a knife, way more personal, way more brutal. He goes from attacking at night to broad daylight. He's not just ambushing people anymore, he's putting on a show, complete with a costume. And instead of a phone call after, he leaves his message right there at the scene. Every single change was calculated to maximize the terror. Let's just walk through this so-called performance. He approaches the couple wearing this bizarre, terrifying executioner's hood, with his crosshair symbol stitched on the front. I mean, it's something from a nightmare. He uses a knife, and then before he leaves, he calmly walks over to their car and writes the dates of his other attacks on the door. This wasn't just about killing. It was a press release written in blood. So with all this communication, all these so-called clues, why did the Zodiac remain a ghost? Well, the irony is that the very tools he used to taunt everyone were also his best defense. The letters and ciphers that made him a celebrity were also the perfect smokescreen. It created this decades-long game of cat and mouse that he was always in control of. And man, this timeline just lays out decades of pure frustration. The first cipher gets cracked in '69, but it's a dead end. They identify a really strong suspect, Arthur Lee Allen, but years later, DNA evidence doesn't match up.
And his most complex cipher, the 340, it took a team of amateur codebreakers 51 years to solve it. And guess what? Still no name.
The name that always comes up in this case is Arthur Lee Allen. And the circumstantial evidence against him was really compelling. I mean, friends were suspicious, he wore a watch with the Zodiac symbol on it. But here's the lesson. Circumstantial evidence does not close a case. Without that one piece of definitive forensic proof, that smoking gun, Allen was always going to be just a suspect.
So the fact that there was no prime suspect just fueled the Zodiac's mythology even more. And this is probably the most critical lesson in this whole case. You have to learn to separate the man from the myth. The Zodiac wasn't just a killer. He was a storyteller, and his favorite character was himself.
This chart right here says it all. The police can officially confirm 5 murder victims. The Zodiac, he claimed he had 37. That enormous gap between those two bars, that's where the legend of the Zodiac was born and raised. He understood that the idea of an unstoppable superkiller was way more terrifying than the reality of what he'd actually done. He was building his own myth to amplify the fear.
So what's our final analysis? What do we take away from this? The Zodiac case is a truly chilling study in how a single criminal can manipulate the media, outsmart law enforcement, and build a legend that completely eclipses the facts of his crimes.
When you get right down to it, the murders were almost just a means to an end. His real goal was infamy. It was a kind of immortality. The letters, the ciphers, that bizarre costume, it was all part of a grand design to create a persona that would never, ever die. And in that one twisted goal, he succeeded. We don't remember the man because we never knew him. We remember the monster that he created.
And so, we're left with the one question that has haunted this case for over 50 years. Who was the Zodiac? Was he a known suspect who just managed to get away with it? Or was he a complete ghost who was never even on the radar? Did he take his secret to the grave? Or is the answer still sitting out there somewhere waiting to be found? The case file may be cold, but the mystery is still very much alive.